I wonder if it says. Go get your coffee and join me today on GHC Coffee Break. We have a little surprise for you today. So get your coffee and we'll be right back.
The color in my garden keeps the pink in my cheeks. I was very independent and thought I could take care of myself. I fell and I had to have Meals on Wheels. They're my savior. My name is Lola Silvestri. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Welcome to DHC Coffee Break. We're doing a little switcheroo on you today. Joining me today is John Hershey. I know y'all are familiar with John on his Community Watch. But I asked him to be on my show and kind of do a little bit of a switcheroo. I asked him to be on my set instead of me being on his set. But I'm going to be the interviewee more or less. April is organ donation month, and I have some personal experience with organ donation. And I said, John, would you kind of be the interviewer on my GHC Coffee Break? And he agreed. So, John, I'm going to kind of turn it over to you more or less.
Well, Susan, I am thrilled to be here. I'm envious of these cushy chairs.
Oh, now.
Because on our set, you know, the chairs are just, you know, stiff and they're aesthetically pleasing, but
I was going to say, I like the table, and I'm very envious of that table.
Really?
And I believe Jeff Brown might have made the table.
I think that table can be yours.
Oh, I want to take it home.
Well, you'll get a bill for it, but I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure you can get that table. This is impressive.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, this is nice.
I told you I wanted to come over and interview you on your show, so.
Well, you'll have to do that sometime.
Okay.
You'll have to do that sometime. So you approached me by saying that you wanted to have a conversation about internal organs, and that's really, that's what got me here. Internal organs. I can't really. How could I say no to internal organs?
Yeah, they're necessary.
Yeah, they are necessary. So I know you want to, what the conversation you want to have is really a very serious one.
Yes, but we have to have fun when we're doing it or we're not doing it right.
Okay. So, you know, I'm thinking organ donation is something that more people think about now than they did. I want to say, well, you know, I don't want to betray how ancient I am, but I'm not sure how long it's been that organ donation has been a question on driver's licenses.
I'm really not sure now for that answer. I know it's been in the last couple of decades.
Yeah. And I guess more people are open to that concept of being an organ donor.
Yeah, because like you said, it's become more common with the question being on driver's license, do you want to be an organ donor? But I think even when that question is posed, people still don't give it a real heavy thought. It's kind of either, oh, yes or no. You know, it's still not a conscious thought of that response.
Mm-hmm. And I guess there are still people that resist that and don't want to be an organ donor or don't even want to think about the kind of situation that would lead to organ donation. I even occasionally find some individuals who don't want to give blood, which
Right.
is not quite the ordeal as organ donation.
Well, it's still, people still don't really understand. You know, even one person giving an organ or allowing themselves to be an organ donor don't realize that just that one gift of life can save as many as 8 people.
Now, how'd you come up with 8?
That's part of the United Network of Organ Sharing, UNOS, UNOS. That's on their fact sheet. One organ donor can save up to 8 lives.
That's now I'm running through my mind now about what particular organs are life-saving organs. There are a few obvious ones, but I remember seeing, and I can't even begin to tell you what show it was, but there was a medical kind of documentary that showed a multiple simultaneous organ donation, multiple surgeries involving, I don't know how many people, multiple people.
Right.
And that was amazing to me. That was amazing to me.
Yeah, and one of the things, well, actually, my daughter Felicia was a recipient of a heart in 1994. She did ultimately die in 1999. She actually received a heart in 1994 and then again in 1998. For whatever reason, we really can't pinpoint. The first transplant, unfortunately, failed, and she, in 1998, had to be transplanted again, which was very fortunate. A lot of times that doesn't happen
A second
time. She was fortunate she did receive a second transplant. Unfortunately, a year later, that heart also failed, and she did die in 1999. I actually had written a book, Just Keep Praying, A Journey About Life, Death, and Living, kind of about our journey. It was definitely, we had hoped and thought, and the statistics show that typically a person after receiving that heart transplant can live a full life with the immunosuppressants and the medications that they do go on. It is typically a life-saving, truly life-saving. For whatever reason, and the doctors can't really explain it, she was not one of those ones that was fortunate enough to live a full life. Others have lived, on up until their old age. I, of course, have done a lot of research on organ transplantation. In fact, I have now a first cousin that is waiting on a kidney transplant. There also are other ways of, there's living organ donation as well, like with a kidney. I am not a match, or I would have, and his wife was on a match, so I was unable to be a living donor.
Kidney, the need for kidneys
is very great.
I hear that need more than I hear any others. I'm not on an organ blog, so I don't get regular organ updates, but individuals that I either know personally or have heard about, it's often a kidney issue.
And I think a lot of that and this is just me guessulating. Is that a word? I don't know.
Well, I don't think so, but
you're the English.
Yeah, we'll let it go.
But this is me hypothesizing. I'll make a real word.
I like guessulating. We're just going to have to start using it.
My students say they're going to create a Dr. C dictionary because I like to make up words. So we'll add that one, guessulating. But that I think a lot of the foods we eat and what we drink, that our kidneys are not able to filter them like maybe we once were, because we're not eating and drinking, our diet is not good. So that could be part of the reason. Maybe it's not filtering like they should because of what we're intaking. I'm not a medical doctor, so don't quote me, folks out there, or you, but that could be maybe. I did not look up specifics on why the kidney, but that you are right. That is.
And I imagine with any situation involving organ failure or the need for a transplant, maybe not a complete failure of an organ, but perhaps impending failure. I imagine there are a lot of possible reasons that would cause that to happen. So in your situation with your daughter,
Yeah, because she was only 14.
how long did you and your family know that she was on a need, a transplant need?
She started getting sick probably in October. We originally thought it was possibly because it was a heart asthma because it affected her breathing. When the heart can't pump, the oxygen is not getting to the lungs properly. I still thought it was more to do with respiration because we don't immediately, with a 14-year-old, look at heart. It's not obvious. And she was put on asthma medicine. It was getting worse and worse. We noticed her lips at Christmas time getting blue. Also, pneumonia was a question. A couple of days after Christmas, I got her to our local doctor. He did some x-rays, said, her heart is enlarged. Still wasn't feeling emergency, but we went ahead and took her to hospital in Atlanta, and they said she was in heart failure. You do not expect to hear that from a 14-year-old, that she was in heart failure. She was immediately put in the cardiac, pediatric cardiac health care unit, and a couple days later they said we need to put her on the heart transplant list.
So that all happened within a really short period of time.
Yeah. Now, how long was she sick before? We don't know, because we don't know if the progression came at a slower onset. What her ultimate diagnosis was after the transplant, when they did actually an autopsy on her heart, or like a narcolepsy is after the death, of course, but so, and I may not be using that word correctly, but they did basically an autopsy on her heart, was that it was an idiopathic cardiomyopathy. An unknown virus attacked her heart.
Oh, wait, you're going to have to say that again.
Idiopathic cardiomyopathy.
Oh, see, you got
that is a real word. An unknown virus attacked her heart. Actually, her heart lives at Georgia Highlands College.
Now, you told me about this yesterday, and it surprised me. I had no idea.
Yes, she got to keep her heart. She requested it. It's kind of like you kept your tonsils. She got to keep.
People keep their tonsils?
Used to, yeah. You could request your tonsils. I don't know if they still do, but yeah.
I did keep my wisdom teeth. That was about the only thing I have.
But she kept her heart in a Tupperware, and when she died in her apartment, we found it. I contacted at the time.
But you knew it was there before you
we
found.
forgot, but yeah.
I'm sorry. It's certainly not a funny situation, but
no, you have to laugh about it.
You have to laugh about the Tupperware.
Yeah, but yeah, we found it in her Tupperware, in her apartment, and so we I was like, "What do you do to a heart? You don't just throw it out in the garbage, obviously." And we had no need to keep it, so I asked Donna Doherty. She was a science director or dean at that time. Would the school because it's enlarged. I mean, it's supposed to be like this, and it's about like this.
Right.
And she said, "Oh yeah, well, we'd love to have it donated." And so they have it preserved as it should be, properly.
Not in Tupperware.
Not in Tupperware. In the Human Anatomy Lab at Georgia Highlands College.
Wow.
So I'm getting the signal that I think I have about 30 seconds left, so we'll have to come back and finish this conversation.
We'll come back to the Tupperware issue.
Yeah, so hey, everybody get your coffee, and we'll be right back with GHC Coffee Break.
My college offers classes that meet my educational and career goals.
With opportunities outside the classroom.
Where the faculty know me by name.
My college can prepare me for my career.
I can earn an associate's degree and transfer credits toward my bachelor's.
My college is a state college within the university system of Georgia.
My college is affordable.
It's close to home.
My college has online opportunities.
It's where excellence begins.
We are
GHC, Georgia Highlands College.
Welcome back to GHC Coffee Break. Thank you, John, for kind of taking the lead on this. It is an interesting. It is like you said. It's a serious topic, but it's also, as I said, if you're not having fun when you're not doing it, you're not doing it right. And having lived through this, I have to, because I have my good days and bad days, but I have to have a sense of humor.
Well, I don't know if Tupperware parties exist still.
I think
like
they do.
What they do. You know, if they need one more use for a Tupperware
there
party,
you go.
Here we've got one now.
That's
so
right.
you can use them to store your internal organs.
Yes, and I am super happy that well, Georgia Highlands has always been a part of my heart, literally. Anyway, so it was very exciting that that I was able to give Felicia's heart to Georgia Highlands. So that was really, really great. You know, I mentioned, the United Network organ sharing. You know, every 10 minutes, a person is added to that list. And currently, there's 1,114, let me say this right, 114,898 people, when I looked at on their website this morning, waiting on a transplant.
Of some kind.
Of some kind. Not a heart necessarily, but of some kind. And March 14th was their 34th anniversary of being founded. It's a nonprofit organization. And
wow.
Just March 14th, 2018 was their 34th anniversary. So that was pretty cool.
And considering how many people need a transplant,
yeah.
I mean, it's obvious why an organization like that is necessary.
Yeah, I'm kind of using my cheat sheet because I'm sorry, I'm getting older and my memory does kind of go away. But 20 people per day die waiting on a transplant, and that may not sound like a lot, but when you're one of those that's waiting,
20 a day is a lot.
Yeah,
it is a lot.
And you know, I think about every 10 minutes, at least one person is added to that that list. So we had a person added.
And that's that isn't a problem that we could solve by becoming organ donors.
Absolutely. And when Felicia actually got her heart, the waiting period was on average roughly 40 days. Now she did receive her heart from the time she got on the waiting list. Now it took a couple weeks because they have to go through all of the blood work and matching, which is very important. That's the number one. They have to be a blood type match. Then there's other psychological. Unfortunately, and this is was the hardest pill for me to swallow, insurance. Yeah, gotta have insurance, or either be on the other end where, you know, Medicaid or other types of things step in. So if you're in that middle class where you don't have insurance or don't have enough insurance and, you know, are not rich enough, that you fall in that crack, just saying. But there's a lot of things. You got to be sick enough, but not too sick. If you're
now, that's interesting.
Yeah,
that's interesting to me, because how do they determine? I guess they you know, they only have so many available organs, so they want the best use of the organ.
Exactly.
So they don't want to give an organ to someone that is likely not going to survive.
Yeah, and that was real hard because Felicia was almost to that point of going over to the side of getting too sick, that she might not have survived it. And that was really scary for me. But she also had to be sick enough, like someone in hospital in the ICU is more likely to get a transplant than someone that is waiting at home waiting on a transplant, because they're sicker but not so sick. Does that make sense?
It does, but it's, gosh, it's...
Yeah. And then while we were waiting on her heart, one of the boys who came in had come in about 2 weeks before Felicia, and this is before HIPAA was so, and we didn't know his name, but it's a little bit harder now, I think. But when you're in a isolated place, I'm sorry, but families get to know each other. HIPAA be darned.
Sure.
And we knew he was over there, and he had the same thing. The cardiomyopathy part, the idiopathic was unknown. The cardiomyopathy part is that the heart enlarges. And just like a rubber band, and I didn't think elastic in your skirt or whatever, elastic wears out. And the heart, and when it wears out, it doesn't, contract like it's supposed to. It enlarges, but it won't come back. Well, the heart enlarges, and as the functionality of it, it stops coming back and contracting. So, it just gets harder and harder to pump. Well, it's not pumping all of its blood to the organs, so the stomach and the lungs and the other internal organs are not getting the oxygenated blood to them like they're supposed to. So her gut was starting to not work. She couldn't eat. She was having to have a nose tube to be fed. Her lungs, of course, were starting to have problems. Her kidneys were having problems. So all of her other internal organs were starting to have issues.
Yeah.
Well, this other kid that had come in, we heard him. He died during the night, and Felicia asked. They had come in and told me that he had died, and I said I knew. I had heard all the machine. I had heard.
Yeah.
And they said, "Do you want us to tell Felicia?" And I said, "If she asks, you tell her," because I said there are no secrets. Whatever, everything is told.
Right.
And so sure enough, she did ask, and I said, "Yeah, he died last night." And she said, "Okay."
Yeah.
And I would have a lot of emotional breakdowns, and Felicia was like, "Mom, God will take care of it." And I said, "Okay," out of the mouths of babes. And and she did, like I said, get her transplant. During the second wait on the second transplant, it took longer.
Right.
I think it was like 58 days. The third time, she had told us she did not want to be put on the list, but she finally agreed. She said, "Mom, I'm only 18. It finally hit. All the other times she said, no, I don't want to be put back on it. But then when it came right down to it, she said, "Yes, you can put me back on the list."
Yeah.
She was put back on the list, but there was no hope. I don't think. She was put on the list, but
Right.
I don't think.
Right.
She was too sick. She was at that point of too sick. But she was allowed to be put on the list. Her kidneys is shut down.
Let me ask you, and you may not know this.
Yeah, and we only have about 4 minutes just to give you a heads up.
All right.
I know, time flies.
I know. So it's been about 20 years.
Yeah.
I'm getting, in medical terms, that's a fairly long period of time. A lot of things change.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if that process has gotten any easier or better for people who are going through it now. Is it still just as hard to find donors as it was?
I thank Carter because when she was on the list, there was not that many people waiting on the list.
Right.
I didn't check. I'm sorry, I didn't check how many are what the wait period is now.
Right.
I forgot to check that.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm just curious.
There's great. Go to the online and look up UNOS. There's a lot of great data and fact sheets on there. I know that my cousin is actually on Emory's wait list for the kidney. He's also going through the process and almost completed the process with Birmingham. But also with the live kidney, you know, there's now a list where that, let's say you and I were brother and sister, and we didn't match, or for some reason you didn't qualify. Maybe that
I've ruined my internal organs. I've ruined them.
You ruined them. But Jeff Brown was, and we agreed that, you know, or maybe something didn't match, but there's organ sharing where that you could actually do it for a brother, but somebody over here needed it, and you could transplant over here, but theirs worked, and you could transplant.
So double and multiple swapping.
Right, they're swapping. I know that sounds really weird, but there is a swap kind of thing now. So that does make it a little bit easier, but it's still very difficult.
Now, let me ask you before we run out of time.
Yeah, I know.
Is your book still available?
Yes.
And because I think people who know you and people that watch the show may be interested in your story and in the book.
Yes.
So
they can get it through me still. I'll sell it in person at Georgia Highlands College. They can contact me. I think it's still available through Barnes & Noble.
At the actual store?
No, online. Also online at Amazon, I believe. So there's a couple of venues to get it.
And the title again is?
Just Keep Praying, A Journey About Life, Death, and Living. And it's by Susan Idson, E-I-D-S-O-N, Claxton.
Oh, all of your names are in
there.
Yeah,
I had to put my maiden name because in honor of my dad and my family name. But yeah, it was definitely a journey. Hard journey, but a journey that I'm very proud of. My family was very supportive and has continued to be very supportive. Yes, organ donation is very important.
I've always been impressed with all the work you've done for that cause and raising money and
yeah, we have a Felicia Memorial Scholarship.
Have a scholarship, and so you know, I appreciate that you've made it an ongoing project of concern and care for others.
Well, thank you. And you were here when Felicia got her second heart.
Yeah, I guess I was.
Yeah, because I remember it advising Eileen always talks about the night that we called and said, hey, Felicia got a heart. So they're telling me the time is up, doggone it.
Oh, no.
John, thanks for being here. We'll be right back. Get your coffee, GHC Coffee Break.
Open road, here comes the Heffley family.
Whether it's a short trip or a long haul.
Estimated time, 47 hours.
They will beg.
You're hungry? I'm happy to provide.
They will plead.
Deep fried butter on a stick.
But whatever you do, don't wimp out.
Now you're talking.
Make them buckle up.
He can't hurt.
Remember, safety first. Cheese curls second.
Are you orange?
Thank you for joining me, John, on GHC Coffee Break. It's been a great crossover. Organ donation is really important. I hope you will consider it. You know, they don't take you prematurely. That is a myth. So hopefully you'll consider organ donation. If you're interested in finding out more information, visit UNOS, U-N-O-S. I think it's .org. Look at the facts. Join me next time on GHC Coffee Break. Y'all have a good day.